cooking for real, we're making one of the simplest dishes you can make. Guaranteed to get oohs and ahs this St. Patrick's Day, and for very, very minimal work. I'm talking to you about corned beef. First things first, of course, we need corned beef. This one is a point cut. There's also a flat cut. I like the point. It doesn't matter though. No matter what you do, you want to cook this 50 minutes a pound. I have about 2 pounds here. Cabbage. It's corned beef and cabbage. Potatoes. And in our situation, canned carrots. These will go in last. First, see, there's a lot of blood in here. We're going to get this out of the bag into a strainer. Inside every bag of brisket is going to be one of these little packages. And while it's been in this bag, it's actually been in a brine. You really want to rinse this off. I want you to see, it's actually a very big piece of meat for being under 2 pounds. You're going to rinse this thoroughly. I like to let it just sit under the cold flow of water for a few minutes. Cabbage gets quartered. So, I'm not very strong. I have learned to adapt in the kitchen. This is a rubber mallet, and I specifically pick a rubber mallet so I don't damage my knife. That will be the hardest thing you do, making corned beef and cabbage. We're going to remove the core. I got myself a big old stock pot here. First into the pot is that quartered cabbage. Next up, we're going to take this nice Vidalia onion here and we're going to cut it rough. Here's our rough cut onion. You see the rather big chunks right on top of the cabbage. So I have 6 potatoes that I peeled. Didn't go crazy because quite frankly, the peels are good for you. And I'm about to cut these up. And again, pretty big chunks. Let me give you a quick peek. And now, if you are using raw carrots at this point, now would be the time to add them. However, I am using cooked carrots and I will be putting them in the last 5 to 10 minutes. But this is the reason everybody will ooh and ah about your perfect brisket. This is the seasoning that comes with it, and you don't need anything else. And mind you, that meat has soaked in a brine long before it came to you, and that's actually what you just rinsed off of it. Do not add the brine to your water. I'm going to sprinkle that on top. And now this guy, fat side up, right on top. I'll show you again. And now we're going to add water. It does need to come over the top of the meat. And I recommend that you keep the water over the top. So we're going to actually put this very heavy thing on the stove right now. And I am setting that to boil because it's going to take a long time. I have a 2-pound brisket, and once that gets to a boil, I'm going to reduce it down to a simmer. It's a 2-pound brisket that you want to simmer for 50 minutes per pound, so I'm doing 1 hour and 40 minutes. Honestly, once you get the temperature hot and you get it down to a simmer only. That's it. You just set a timer and you walk away. Hands clean, just making sure continuously that the water level does stay above the meat. Rookie mistakes. Cooking it too hot. Using the brine that came in the bag. Cooking it too long. Not letting the meat stay immersed. Putting the meat on the bottom where it will surely burn to the pan. And cutting it wrong. When this is all said and done, when everything's cooked and ready, we will show you how to cut this meat, but suffice it to say, across the grain. While we wait for our friendly neighborhood corned beef to come to a boil, I'd like to give you a little information. Corned beef, as we know it, isn't even an Irish dish. The corned beef that was made in Ireland, 200, maybe 300 years ago, had huge courses of salt, and it's actually called corned beef because the salt that they used was so big it was like corn kernels, and that salt was actually created by burning sea kelp and using the ash. And the thing is cows in Ireland at the time were basically a sacred animal. They needed their strength to plow their fields, and they used their milk for all of the dairy products that kept them hale and hearty. Beef was a dish served to fat and gluttonous kings. It was not for the rest of Ireland. And you flash forward until the potato famine when they all came here, and believe it or not, they actually made more money here than they did under the thumb of England while living in Ireland, as poorly as they were treated. The corned beef that they were able to purchase for themselves here is actually Jewish. This is the same corned beef recipe that you find in every single Jewish deli. But the Irish and the Jewish made excellent neighbors, and when the Irish had money to spend on meat, it was beef, which was a treat, hence corned beef. Not quite the simmer that we're looking for. Probably 10-15 more minutes, and then what I'll do is turn the heat down to maintain the simmer, and then I will start the timer. You can see the foam starting to create around the edge here. It's actually a pretty good indicator that we're up to temp. So, and you know, see the little bubbles? You don't want it much hotter than this, so I'm actually gonna kick down this heat. So it's, you know, it's a couple notches above low, I'd say. So we're gonna do that, and lid on, and set a timer for an hour and 40 minutes because like I stated, it is 50 minutes per pound. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left, and you can see how this looks right now. Let me hold the camera steady. Since I am using pre-cooked carrots, I'm gonna add those in right now. Okay, so it's actually time to take out this brisket and set it aside to rest. I'm gonna let this brisket rest for about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, let's see that there. It's never a pretty cut of meat, for sure. But it is actually beautifully cooked. We're gonna just let that rest. And I have here a big old serving bowl. Okay, and I'm gonna take a lot of my cabbage and carrots and potatoes and put it right into that serving bowl. Just to prevent it from overcooking. Now that I have most of this taken out, I'd actually like to show you what the broth looks like. Because I know that, you know, I didn't really put anything in this pot except for the food. So, let's take a look at what we have here. It's actually rich and colorful, and I will use it alongside the pulled out vegetables to keep them warm and tasty. So it's important that you cut against the grain. Actually, if you could just point maybe with the direction that the grain goes.
Sure, it goes this way.
You can see, like I'm gonna close in right here. If you had gone against the grain, it would look smooth. You wouldn't see all of these nice little bumps. So you're just gonna go ahead and cut against the grain. I want you to notice how each piece that he cuts actually holds together really well. It's not pulling apart, it's not getting stringy, and that's because of the way he cuts it, and also because of the way that we cooked it. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Cooking for Real. I hope you take the time to try your hand at corned beef and cabbage. Happy St. Patrick's Day.